Tonight's podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada. Find them at www.fieldagentcanada.com. Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
How are you?
All right, I'm doing okay. Just getting my shit organized here.
I think this is the longest I haven't talked to you.
I was telling Amelia that. I said I haven't talked to you all weekend.
Yeah.
Like, we can never do that.
Maybe since Europe.
Oh, I way before that. I don't think I've gone in the last 3 or 4 years. Not 5 days in between talking. You talking about?
I know.
Europe. Jesus. I was having withdrawals.
I know. I was like, it's so quiet. Where's Kenny?
I know.
Where's Kenny? There's Crystal.
Crystal's slowly getting to us.
No, the computer is slow, not me.
Oh, that's okay.
That's
the
okay.
holidays.
We're not going anywhere.
Small town Alberta life. That's our bandwidth.
That's all good.
It's okay.
It's all good.
It's the holidays. We're all a little bit slow off the uptake. Maybe a couple of too many cookies.
Oh, I've had way too much to eat. Oh my God, seriously.
Little too much of everything.
I'm on that new fad drug Ozempic, eh? Wow, that's wild when you eat too much.
What?
Well, I bet. Well, it's the diabetic drug, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I was just about pre-diabetic. That's
Right.
why I qualified for it. I was one decimal point from pre-diabetic.
Oh, okay.
So I qualified for it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do it where I can have something around to absorb the sound so you don't get a lot of echo.
No, you're good actually.
Oh.
The sound is good.
My room's
I've rigged up a little tent here.
Oh, wow, you do more than we do.
Yeah.
My room's got, I don't know what baffles in here. I think it's just the amount of junk I probably have in this room that's baffling the sound.
So when I'm at, sometimes I go up to my son's house in Ottawa, and he has a little condo. And so when I'm up there, I sit in the closet because, that's what absorbs all the sound, right?
Okay. So. I mean, you're only just going to use this for a few.
Yeah. No, but you're great though. You're really good. Like the sound is great. Everything's good. So no worries. Yeah.
I mean, all we do is seriously, we record it as on Zoom, and then we just post it. LinkedIn
So
and
the
wherever
sound,
else we do it.
The sound goes to the podcast. So the sound goes everywhere. It goes to iTunes and Spotify and anywhere you would get a podcast. And then the video portion literally is like a minute. And it's a trailer that goes on YouTube. So a lot of people watch the trailer and then because they just want to know what it's about, they want to know who you are, and then they hit the link and they go to an audio site anyway. So so it's all good. It's all good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But how do I know what minute you're going to use?
Because I don't know what minute I'm going to use.
He doesn't know.
Okay. So you'll choose a minute with good audio and video.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So all 45 minutes to 60 minutes will be somewhere.
Yeah.
Audio. Yeah. I mean, we're not, the two of us definitely don't have the faces for
no, we scare
video.
people.
We're good for radio, and that's probably about it. We do this because I just like to see people. I don't like I hate talking to black screen.
CBC does it this way too. Like I co-hosted their lunch hour show last week, and there's a little name drop there.
I saw that. I saw it I saw it posted. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you. And they did the same thing. They did Zoom, but only used the audio.
Okay. Yeah.
It's nice because you can kind of see the expressions. There's a few times I'm not sure that the lady that was hosting me got what I was saying though.
Sometimes that's why it's better to have video because you can see someone's face. You get squinty eyes.
And she can see me, and I'm still not sure she got understood why taste buds work the way they do in humans. But
okay, well,
hopefully we'll be. You
can only do what you can do, right?
Yeah,
right. It's a start. I think a lot of her listeners understood, and that's what matters.
Well, that's all that really matters in the end anyway.
They're smarter than that interviewer on CBC.
Yeah.
Well, that's all good. I mean, as long as someone understood it. Now I'm getting a little pressure, Phil. I hope we understand it.
Well, if you don't ask me that question, like, these were listeners phoning in, so you may not ask me the same question. Yeah.
Maybe
well, we may now
ask the taste bud question.
Yeah, about the taste bud question. Can you explain the taste bud question?
You haven't listened to the podcast, or you know what the question was?
No, I didn't. No, all I did, I saw the posting, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. You're having a kind of a busy week doing, some interviewing and and fun stuff like that.
That must have been last Wednesday. Well, Christmas week, of course, is always whacked, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gong show, right?
Yep. It was a week or 2 weeks Wednesday. Oh, yeah, Christmas. Yeah. Who knows?
I feel like you do. So I don't know what was last week. I don't know what this week was. I actually sent him a note just before I sent you an email going, oh, we have Crystal today. Today's Tuesday.
Am I it? I am the day.
Today's
I honestly
Tuesday.
didn't think we had anything this week. Like Tuesday. Seriously?
Today is Tuesday, and we have something on Tuesday. I was like, yeah, we have.
I've got it in my head all day that it's Sunday. Like, because tomorrow Sunday. I have to go into one of the offices, and like it feels like a weekend, like just a long weekend.
Now, which one of you is which? So, which is the one in Vancouver with the store, and which is the Toronto one?
He's Toronto. I'm Vancouver and store.
Okay.
Because
I can interview you, because I've got all kinds of questions after I've done a little bit of listening to your podcast, but
you can ask us anything you want.
Oh, ask us anything you want.
Anything you want.
Before we even get into all of that, I just want to know you guys are safe. Like, I feel like I'm in the safest part of the country right now, like based on weather. Because
no, we're
I'm
safer.
just yeah.
Oh yeah, because they just
are you like
everything.
Are you just subarctic? I mean, you're steady subarctic temperature, no? Like,
no, we got a break from that. No, okay. Yesterday got up to -4.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure what it was today, -6.
Okay.
Where are you, Crystal?
That subarctic was at Christmas. Yeah.
You're in Alberta, right?
Yes.
You're not in BC. Where are you? In Calgary or Edmonton?
No, nowhere.
Neither.
I'm in a satellite city to Edmonton, so an hour out of Edmonton.
What's it called?
Okay.
Camrose.
I've been to Camrose. That's why I asked. That's why I was asking.
I've been there. You know why I've been there? Because I was at Danone when Danone was opening all the Walmart pantries. So I'm really dating myself, but Camrose has a Walmart in it.
Yeah.
And I worked for Imperial Drug.
What's the pantry that's in for Danone?
So at the time, Walmart wasn't a supercenter yet. So Walmart was just Walmart.
But they were trying to do local merch things too, right?
And then they were adding freezer bunkers and fridges. And so at the time, Danone, when I got to Danone, there were 9 Walmart stores, all in Eastern Townships, Quebec. And so they brought me on to help them open all of the Walmarts across Canada. So I wound up in some really weird places.
Do you still work for Danone?
Nope. Those are gone. But during that time, I wound up going to Labrador, which I'd never been to before. I'd been to this little town in the Panhandle, just south of Alaska in BC. Somewhere in this podcast I'll remember, but like there were some really like places that I was like, oh, Canadian, but never been there before.
Right.
Never.
And has a Walmart.
Yes. Yeah, that's
they have a lot of them because Alberta's different because you guys can draw from 100 miles. Yeah. Like nobody, like in smaller parts of town. Like I grew up in the Kootenays, so we would drive to Kelowna if we wanted to do a Costco or drive to Spokane, and driving 2 hours to go shopping wasn't a big deal. In the city, driving 20 minutes and everybody's having a heart attack because, it's too long. It's different. I mean, it's a different lifestyle. And I did a gig with, the Value Drug Mart group in Edmonton for about just shy of 2 years. So I went as far up as Lake Labiche, way up that area. Mm-hmm. So just a couple hundred kilometers from Northwest Territories, all the way down to Lethbridge, Medicine Hat. Like we in the year and a half I was there, I toured. I mean, I saw a lot of Alberta.
So were you with Imperial Distribution or?
Yeah, part of that group.
Okay, cool. We sell into Imperial Distribution.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I was with them for about a year and a half or so, but yeah, it was a cool gig, and I liked Edmonton. I mean,
and
I know
that's before the Lac-La-Biche burned down. Then
it would have been because it wasn't definitely wasn't burned down when I was up there, and we went up. So we took the ferry, like you could actually get across or whatever, as opposed to I guess it freezes in the winter or something like that. The river, I don't know, some story like that.
Like all the lakes freeze, right?
Well, yeah, there's this crossing. There's a ferry crossing that we had to do to get up into that area. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so like
I took pictures of all
I
this
spent
stuff.
a lot of time. Probably the neatest one was Alberta. Like I got to go because prior to that I'd been to Edmonton, Calgary, and Lethbridge. I think that was the extent of my Alberta experience, and then I got to go to Red Deer and Airdrie.
Yeah, that's
just how you say it, Airdrie, and like St. Albert. I think I went to. Like there were like lots of places. I was like, huh. Look, there's there are
places
here.
everywhere. I was in Coronation and Camrose and
Sherwood Park all over, man. And all these places. So
Coronation has a value drug then.
It had a value drug, and I think there was another town that wasn't too like there were weird spots, and then just like I mean we covered
had a value drug until recently, and then they changed the nomenclature and switched.
I think they've changed banner names now or something. But yeah, I got to see. Oh my God! I mean, we must have driven 3,000-4,000 kilometers over 4 or 5 trips. Wow. It was all driving too.
What was your job? What was your job?
I was actually just sort of helping them with how to look at merchandising differently, how to look at buying differently, like as opposed to buying the same boring stuff. Is try to bust out, try to get the stores more excited. Right, because otherwise the drugstore is a drugstore, right? And pharmacists are pharmacists. They don't really, they don't venture too far off a proven path.
Differentiate out, and
so you're trying to get them excited about
show a little life.
Yeah, try something different, right? I mean, bust out, like it won't kill you. One of those ones.
I remember where I was. I was in Terrace, BC.
Okay,
I've never been up in there, but Amelia has. It's beautiful. Way. Yeah, by Smithers and Kitimat,
way
up there.
Yeah,
Kitimat, Prince Rupert.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah. I was wholly unprepared. Wholly unprepared to be up there. Whoa, how far?
Yeah, it's you don't realize. Well, you don't trust them. We're big provinces. I didn't realize Alberta. I mean, you can see it on a map. It's obviously huge. Yeah. I didn't realize it until we started driving. Holy shit, man! There's a lot of miles to cover.
Like, wow.
There's areas there was not much going on.
And I thought I knew big until we drove to Dragon's Den. Another shameless plug there.
We get these all worked in.
Across Ontario to get to Dragon's Den because the dragons wouldn't let us fly because they were afraid of COVID. Yeah, they wouldn't let us fly because COVID.
Okay. So you had to drive from Alberta. So like that
you had to drive from up there.
That trek through northern Ontario was something else, right?
I don't think, because with our provinces out west here, they're all in a row. And you look at that province and it's huge. But if you cut it across its middle belly,
it's not bad.
Okay, because you just go straight across. So we went for Camrose, Moocha, first night, no problem.
Yeah.
Next night, Dryden, I think we got to, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So cool. And then you drive and drive to get across the river, because you're not only having to cut across, but you're having to drop down as well, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I thought I knew huge until I tried to drive across Ontario.
Well, and you're driving, like, because once you start that kind of drive south, right? Like once you start turning, you are not, like, none of it's straight. It's like as you're navigating around the Canadian Shield, and so I took
video of literally the Trans-Canada became a gravel road at one point. I thought no one's gonna believe me. This is
I believe you.
Road that we wax on about in song and story. This Trans-Canada, and it becomes a gravel road when it comes to connecting our two solitudes.
It's funny, people don't realize how big we are, though, right? And I think we forget, like, between us, Alberta, man, Sask, is we're tall and we're wide, but we're much taller than wide. And Ontario is the reverse. It's wide, not so tall per se.
Right. And so that's what
I know. I just when you said that, I thought, I guess that's true.
And like Toronto in particular is really weird because we live at a far more southern latitude than most Canadians, actually. right?
Almost all of us.
And so, so you kind of go like, so the equivalent of where you guys are, like, because you probably had to like land in Sudbury and then turn south, right? So in Sudbury for us is like, it's really far north.
We went to Barrie.
Yeah. So Barrie is like almost local for us, and then Sudbury is like another, like it's way nobody goes to Sudbury.
We must have been around Sudbury.
Yeah,
and not stopped. So yeah, we stayed at Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, Sault Ste. Marie. Which
of course it was COVID, so the border was closed.
So Sault Ste. Marie is way out there,
up the streets and called it a day.
Yeah,
really.
Like Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie for us is like Fort McMurray for you. Like that's what it's like to us. Like it is.
It's way the hell out there then.
I'm not. No, like
I've been to Sudbury.
My brother-in-law grew up in Sault Ste. Marie. I have never been up there. He's like, you should come up. I'm like, I'm not going up there. Like, what reason do I have to go? I'm not going up there. Like, you come to us. Like everything is here. And my sister, when my sister first, she actually asked me, she goes, so what's up there? Like, do I need to bring cash? Or like, I'm like, no, it's an actual city. It's okay. Like you'll be fine. Like it's not like that, but it is really far away. Like good luck. You should have checked before you married him, but what are you gonna do now? Like
such a Torontonian.
Anyway, we should definitely do an intro because now they think you're a geography major. So Kenny, do you want to do it?
It's funny because I don't really know Crystal either. This is the first time we've met. We had a little bit of chatting on LinkedIn. What I found intriguing, I think Crystal reached out to me and I can't remember why. And then we started chitting back and I said, you got a really cool stuff. So what they have is a heritage candy company. So they're picking up like old cool lines that I'm remembering that I thought were in essence dead, that have seemed to have come back to life. And I personally, I like retro anyway. I like the old stuff coming back. So Crystal, it's hard for me to even do much of an intro because I don't know that much about you. So I was pretty stoked on this. And I told Phil, I said, I wanted her on because I love these. I like when people look at cool old brands and cool opportunities. And I was dying to see what you guys were about and what you did. And plus you're on my side of the world. I like, people in the West too. Not that we don't like the Eastern people, but I do like our Western folks. It is what it is, right?
So I'm excited. I did
me too.
Tiny bit of homework. But so you're the founder of American Canadian Candy Nostalgia, right?
It started out just Canadian.
Just Canadian. The American's new, right?
We'd wind up doing an American chocolate bar at first. That's just came about in the last few months.
Yeah. As is the way with all us entrepreneurs, right? As you kind of go, what opportunity?
Yes.
There's
maybe someone reached out to you.
Mostly it came about because we saw it on an American food TV show, and then my husband said, "Oh, honey, you couldn't ever do that chocolate bar. That's out of your league." Okay.
Oh, that's the worst thing to say to her.
No, that's a throwdown if I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's a dumb move. Gotta do it.
Yeah, that whether it's even bright at that point, it doesn't really matter. You're going. You got to go. Yeah, you got
all
no
right.
choice.
So the next 45 minutes is yours. Tell us.
Yours. So tell us where you came from, why you're doing this, how you got into it, why you got into it, why do you continue to do it.
Okay, you'll prompt me with questions along the way if I get muddled down.
Oh my goodness, we have so many questions. I have so many questions for sure, but light it up. Let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
So my name is Regehr Westergard, and my mother's favorite chocolate bar throughout her lifespan has been this little Western Canadian bar called the Cuban Lunch. And the Cuban Lunch has been around since before World War II. It was stopped during the war due to sugar rationing, but all chocolate bars were. And she loved it all her life, and she has lost her capacity to think and has dementia. So she's in a care facility. And you got thinking what to bring or what to talk about because she can't initiate conversation. And I thought, wow, I'm going to find her favorite chocolate bar and bring it, because that's how little I knew about the food system. Like nothing. It didn't cross my mind that an iconic chocolate bar could be just gone. Like, I didn't know that they did that. That's how thick and non-knowing I was about CPG. Didn't know what CPG stood for. So I
That makes
said
sense,
to my
though.
friend who runs the Dollarama here, I said, I'm going to find my mom that Cuban lunch and bring it to her. Because we were talking about retro chuckle bars one day. And she's like, no, you're not going to find that. Then I'll make that. I'm like, I'm sure someone makes it somewhere. I'll find it on eBay or something, right? Well, no. All I found is more people looking for it. Like, and a lot of people looking for it. Chat rooms devoted to it. History books that have to have a chapter on it, stuff like that. So I'm like, well, why isn't anyone making this? I joined the groups. All they do would be talk about it and talk about it. Okay, there's only so much talking about it. And although I'm a talker, at some point, though, I'm a doer. And so I'm like, that's it. Someone's got to actually do this. It had been discussed in this forum that the trademark was unclaimed, just no one was using it, because in Canada, if you have a trademark and you don't renew it every 15 years,
right,
it passes back to our government, and our government
right.
can sell it to the next person.
Right.
So it had passed back to the government. So I decided to buy it. I looked into it. I made a few attempts to buy it. My husband finally bought it online for the Intellectual Property Office, because we went in person to buy it. They wouldn't sell it to us. It was too famous. They're like, you can't have that. That's famous. And
but it was dead at this point, right? This is a dead.
Yes,
this
they
is a dead
absolutely
brand.
could have sold it to us, but it was such a known name to them.
So you
they were not going to sell it to some chick that they know from downtown.
This thing that's dead is more famous than you are alive, and you can't have it.
Right, but they knew who I was because it's a small city, and I had treated her for physio, so I'm a physio.
Right.
Okay.
And so she knows me, and I went into, and she works at there's 2 licensing offices in our town, so she works at the main one. And no, she wasn't going to sell that to me. Like, that's ridiculous. So could you talk to your bosses about it and they talked to the boss. No, they're not going to sell that to me. So then you go to a lawyer. I went to a lawyer, and he's like, that's beneath my pay grade. That's just crazy. You just buy it. Like, you don't need
I was
a
saying,
lawyer.
like, how can we even stop it? Like, it's for sale, right? They can.
But how does Boss Hogg run Hazard County? He just does.
He just does it.
That's actually a little mind-bending.
Licensing office is owned by, and I hope he doesn't listen to podcasts. Bless his heart. I do love you, Norm. But he owns that license office, and he is the mayor of our town.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, and they run it the way they feel is right, and they didn't feel that they could rightly do that. They weren't gonna.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
So, and then the lawyers wouldn't take my case because it was beneath them. So my husband finally went online and bought it. Applied for it. Right. The Canadian government does check that you're okay. This is all jiggy with it. Right. And then after a certain period of time passes, they say, okay, yeah, you can have this. We've cleared it all, and then you have to pay another fee to finally get it. Yeah. So we did that, and I talked to enough lawyers to know that, frankly, I was going to get it after I applied, because no one else could take it from you. It's kind of first come, first served, the government. Right. So unless someone comes and has a legitimate claim and had actually been using it before me, can prove they were before me, which no one could, they couldn't stop me. So we went ahead at that point and started, rustling some up in a commercial kitchen, playing with recipes. I would make my patients eat these chocolates when they came for physio, and taste iterations and all these different recipes until we found what we thought was the right taste.
Sorry, can we, I have questions, and then I want to ask them now, because I think I'll lose them later. But so at this point, you're a physiotherapist.
I am still.
And then you are a physiotherapist, and then you really went to apply this thing, because really the most amazing thing about this is going to be amazing, right? But you apply because you really just want to be able to get this thing for your mom.
Yes, and I did bring some to my mom after I made them in my commercial kitchen.
Because there are recipes out there, not the exact recipe, but I know, like, I had done with the first time that you had gone to me, I went online. I thought, well, I knew what it was. I'm thinking, I think there's actually groups that try to replicate this, or there's recipes out there. So it's not like it's like it's dead as a brand, but there are still people making sort of the Cuban lunch bar and things like that, right?
But when you when you apply, you really just get the trade. Do you get the recipe, the actual recipe cards,
No.
or you don't get any of that, right? Like
No,
you just get the name. Yeah, you own it now, and it's your name, right?
You can use the words. There's a word mark, and you can also get the graphics. And we applied for the word mark Cuban lunch.
Okay, so you buy the thing for Cuban lunch, and so then what do you grab a recipe like online and
we started with what the group had discussed. Yeah, one of the chat groups on Facebook had discussed. We started with that one.
And Crystal, how long had the line been dead at this point? Like, what are we talking? This has been off the market.
1991. So 1991.
Okay, and when did you start your process? How long ago?
2017 into 18.
So 15, 16 years. This thing's been
20. You lost a decade years. There.
I don't like. I've lost a lot of decades. I that's what bothers me sometimes too. But okay, wow, that's a long time.
Okay. I'm squared away now. So you can continue, please.
But it was from a time when people got a chocolate bar like once a month. That was the bar you got.
Right.
Like so special. So it was emblazoned in the synapses of people's minds in Western Canada. So I got my first distribution deal at Sobey's without them even tasting it.
They were just dying to have something back.
They just looked at it, flipped it over. Yeah, that's a Cuban lunch, he says. Start typing it into his database.
That's awesome, man. That's how you get a listing.
Bless his heart. No, he might be listening. He didn't know how to type up a listing.
Well, most buyers don't, because we usually have people behind us. Very
non-intuitive. He's got a buyer. He was the assistant manager that I caught in one day.
Oh, at the store you're talking.
Just not a very intuitive.
Not.
Yeah, at the store.
No, they don't do listings. That's why.
If
he got that far, God bless him. He killed it.
He was allowed to do listings for the local program. So Western Canada is considered a local.
Yeah.
So he was allowed to do a listing, but it was a very non-intuitive.
Yeah, he's not doing those every day.
So truly it's not a listing, right? Like he really set it up in the system so he could procure it from you.
Right.
So not really a listing.
No, but at least in the system, scannable.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
It just. And we'll be right back. Hey Kenny, I wanted to thank you for the listing a couple of months ago. I just wanted to catch up with you. I was wondering if you could tell me what stores carry the product now and where it's planogrammed. I just wanted to get an idea of how things are going.
Have you not been into the stores, Phil? Your product came in, it's left the building, and you're planogrammed in AB stores.
So I've been in some of the stores. It's a little spotty. It's hard to tell. I've been. Can you also can you explain the AB stores?
Seriously, Phil? Like, you're on the clock right now, man. I mean, you're making me stop. So I'm going to take a look at your sales numbers, which on first glance, just so you know, we're not going to have a conversation in 4 months if you don't get these sales moving. Your product is not doing much of anything. I really suggest you get out into those stores and figure out what's going on. This conversation, guys, is a conversation that happens more often than not. I mean, it's make believe it is because Phil and I are doing it together. This is conversations that actually happen out in the real world. You know, so if you're listing or if you're getting a brand to launch in retail, new product, and you've got your listing and you've made it into the planogram, if you think your job is done, you're delusional. Your job is not even close to being done. You got to get out there. You got to make sure your products are moving, and they got to get moving quickly. Right. And you can't come back with the excuse that you're a one-man or a one-woman team or a two-person team and the country's large or the city's large. You have to figure this out. Clock is ticking.
So if this is you and you're worried about your launches, you're going to need Field Agent and their new products. So Field Agent has a service, brand new service called 360 Innovation Booster, which is created to help you get an immediate read on what's happening with your launch at retail. It's designed to help you kickstart sales in-store and online and help you get initial feedback from real Canadian consumers who have tried your product.
You know, you're going to get visibility of a representative sampling of about 400 stores across the country of Canada within the first 2 weeks of delivery date. So super timely, super critical. You'll get planogram views of the new product placement in the sections they're supposed to be in, but you'll also get photos and documentation of post displays, secondary displays, end caps, freestanding displays, pallets, half pallets, quarter pallets, sidewinders, whatever you got. And what they'll also do is give you retail pricing. So you'll have some comparisons. Are you too high? Are you too low? Do you look silly? Do you not? Are you too aggressive? Some really key information for products to make sure they're moving.
So they give you a whole suite of tools that help you also get early trial and consumer feedback. A lot of new products, you have to wait. You have to wait for consumer feedback. And sometimes when you've got a buyer who's ticking the clock and watching your sales, that early trial stuff is really, really important. There's also a comprehensive view on how new product launches are going across key retailers, so you can have the right retail conversations with the right buyers. And they also have a buy and try sampling service that targets ideal consumer feedback to generate trial and awareness along with consumer feedback. If this interests you,
head to fieldagentcanada.com/360 or
email support@fieldagent.net, or their link will be at the bottom of our podcast notes. Click there, talk to Jeff and his team. They're wonderful. And now back to the podcast.
Yeah. And then when we made them, we cobbled together some cash, and we made 60,000 chocolate bars.
Wow.
At a co-pack.
Yeah.
Which meant a total another recipe iteration, which I'm sure you guys know, but I didn't know going into it that's how the world worked.
Yeah.
But then when they made their 60,000, then the local program at Sobey's for Western Canada bought a significant number of those, like that 6 pallets. So they bought 1 or 2 or 3 of those pallets. Yeah.
That is nothing.
That's pretty good. And so, and how many stores was that at the time? Like, did you get into, and those were the IGAs at that point, right? Because you're not talking when Sobey's bought Safeway yet, or had they bought Safeway?
Well, they had bought Safeway, yeah.
Okay, so you picked up some of the Safeways, and some of the IGAs in Alberta.
Yes.
Interesting.
Alberta, and again, Western Canada is kind of considered, at the time, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba had one head leader of the local. Right. And he now just heads Alberta. Right. But at the time, he headed all 3 prairie provinces, so we got into all 3. That's
very cool.
COVID puppy.
Very cool.
Honey, can you get the puppy? Can you collect the puppy? She's scratching the door during the recording. We did have a talk.
It's all good.
It's all good.
We've had dogs, cats, kids running. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
It's only a matter of time before mine starts coming down.
Exactly. Phil's always comes
it's all good. Yeah.
So that was when I guess we were technically listed. I mean, first they did a little test pilot where you have to go out to like 20 stores around Edmonton. Yep. He sent around an email and he asked them who's interested in doing this testing. Yep. And then we had to deliver them to those stores, DSD.
Right.
And then he found us a distributor. And he found us 3, and we interviewed the first 2, and then finally was like, we don't have time to interview this. Why don't you just give us the Coles notes and tell us who to pick? So he told us which one to pick, basically. So
that's awesome.
Took that one. We got into a listing of Western Canada, I guess IGA, Sobey, Safeway. This is before thrift. We did not get into Thrifties at that point. Right. Yeah, so
wow.
Nor Foodland actually, which I think is owned by Sobey's as well out west. Yeah. So and then of course Federated Co-op also covers the entire West, one Federated Co-op. And I say Western Canadians will know that intuitively, but then you'll have Eastern Canadians listening to this program too, where co-ops are not as strong. But here in the West, the whole West is covered by one co-op, Federated Co-op. With the exception of Calgary.
Except Calgary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But at the time, Calgary was still in that.
They were still part of that
2018.
Group. Yeah.
So then they sent us sent our distributor an email saying, we want to list this product. And the distributor ignored it and sat on it for a month because they were in bed with Sobey's. Oh. So, and they wanted to give Sobey's the leg up. So eventually we did have to have a parting with that distributor. because obviously at some point the good of our company was going to outgrow their niche of what, the backs they wanted to pat, right?
Right.
So
as you learned a lot
Wow.
about the grocery business is what you're really getting at.
Yeah. Serious crash course.
And then as soon as you think you learn something, you find out, well, maybe that wasn't entirely the truth.
No.
Yeah, it's some wild times in CPG.
It's
so
or
and then when they split Calgary off, they charged us a whole new listing fee. Yeah. And it was astronomical.
That's all relative though, right? Yeah.
And you know what? We'd never paid a listing fee in the first place.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they solicited us.
Yeah, it's like CPG is funny because sometimes it's not true, and then sometimes it's true but only in certain circumstances, which you're discovering as well.
Sunday.
And then
it's any given Sunday, right? It's like sometimes it's moods or how much pressure you're getting on from the organization. Some days there's listing fees and they're big, some day they're not there, some day they're small.
Yeah.
Someday they're cash, someday they're free goods.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah, sometimes there's free goods or sometimes it's a blend.
Whatever.
So so we got into Save On in there with them somehow too, but the Save On thing fell off. I'm not sure what happened there. Save On's always kind of courting Calgary Co-op. Not quite sure what happened there. So we continue to work on trying to improve our relationship with Save On.
So this is 2017. And so you make Commercial Kitchen, and then so when you where in the timeline are you now? Like, so as you're rolling out to these stores, is this pre-pandemic?
Pre-pandemic, 2018 into 19 then, because
so this thing picked up.
It sold out like, right? Because you make 60,000, you think that's so much, but once Sobey's picks you up and the other major competitor to Sobey's picks you up, and Save On Foods picks you up, then you've got nothing,
right? And
so then you have to make like $250,000 of them, and they get an astronomical loan, right, from EDC or BDC, one of the
BDC,
right?
Yeah.
At 11% interest. Now, this is in the day of 0% interest land, right? 2019.
Yeah. And so the whole time, you're still running. So you still got patients at physio.
Like you got full-time work, right? This is still a side gig. This is a side hustle.
Yeah, it's still a side hustle.
Right. Yeah. Jeez, that's a lot of work to do.
A quarter million chocolate bars that's
a lot.
A side hustle.
Yeah, that's a good side hustle.
It's more than $250,000 now. We sell several million.
Oh yeah, no.
But at the time, $250,000 is a big number.
It was.
I appreciate
you're committed.
You're
committed, right? You're in. Like you're not fooling around.
Oh yeah. We broke all those rules that we said we would never do. We watched that old documentary years ago and of the Clodhopper boys, Larry and Chris.
Yeah.
And where they go when they borrow money from their parents, they mortgage their parents' house, to sell to Walmart. Remember?
Yeah.
And then Walmart didn't pay them for 6 months, and it just about lost every member of their family, their house.
Yep.
So going in, we were full of promises to ourselves. Oh, we're not going to put our house up against these loans. No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to. We broke all of that, all of it, smashed to smithers.
No, that's good. You joined everybody else. Why be different?
My father doesn't own his house, so I couldn't.
But listen,
we have not taken mortgages on our parents' homes, but we have used our.
But Crystal, that's how a lot of them start. I mean, how else do you do it, right?
Yeah.
It's family, friends, and your own money. And
when you're old and you're 50, you do have a home that you own free and clear. So when you mortgage it, you really get a lot of dough. Whereas you start a CPG company in your 20s, what do you own?
It's a tough gig.
20% of that house, you got to mortgage your parents.
Well, typically that's who's floating it, right? That's where the money comes from, for sure.
Because it's $250,000 or bust at most co-packers with any decent.
But
there was a pricing homework.
But it is the problem, right? Is there isn't another number, right? Like it's like at 60,000, you think this is already, this is making me sweaty a little bit. Like I'm a little bit worried. And then, and then what, right? Like, so now it's like, okay, so I can screw around with 60. Actually, no, I can't because, I've gone like wildfire. So it's either I go back to nothing, right?
So
I go back to nothing.
Purchase orders for $250,000.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like you're kind of in a bind, right? And at that point,
I gotta go all in. Like,
and you can't the purchase orders are for $250,000. It doesn't mean you make $250,000 because it means you can't just you gotta have some backstock. Like once they order, they're going to probably reorder, or
Yeah.
someone's going to reorder. Now, what do? Like,
Yeah.
you can't sit fiddle fart around and just in time it, right? It's not how it works.
Well, yeah, and of course, pre-COVID, we didn't know how tenuous it was, right? How very tenuous it was. It became more tenuous, and it was tenuous enough. So, yeah, agreed. So we made Sobey's purchase order was for about $250,000, and they could slot us in different weeks, so we didn't make the $250,000 at the same time. We also couldn't find the red cups. You know, the guy who's selling them to us, you know, I guess he just kind of, I don't know, found something that fell off a truck or something. I'm not sure what happened there, but his next batch were completely the wrong size. I'm like, these cups aren't even the right size.
Yeah.
And well, the guys at the factory felt these would do better. He says,
well, I'm glad they felt that.
Molds.
Yeah.
So we learned that people who make mold filling cupcake custom sized cups in Canada, they don't have to advertise. So no one knows who they are because they got plenty of clients and they don't have to advertise. So we finally pressured Great Little Box Company, shout out to them, enough that our gal there, Nicola, she found someone in the organization who found these guys for us in Quebec, JJ Marshall.
Awesome.
So JJ Marshall made 5 different punches. So to make a cupcake shape, you've got to make the custom shape because ours was custom, and then you've got to punch. Well, they just kept breaking, so they made 5 before they got one that wouldn't break, and this would take months and months of engineering. And this was when I had my first anxiety attack. This was pre-COVID, before anxiety attacks were cool. And so yeah, until finally they got this punch made and were able to make the 250,000 cups, to make the 250,000 bars that Sobey's and Sobey Safeway and Federated Co-op wanted. And it took us a long time to catch up. And then what happens, and this has happened with both of our chocolate bars now, then you overshoot, you make too many.
Right.
Because you can never make enough. So when the opportunity comes to make more, you make more. And then we wound up with 600,000 chocolate bars.
Now what do you do with them?
Yeah. Especially since at this point, our distributor got PO'd with us and wouldn't sell them. Just kind of sat around, did nothing with them. Now we had a buy-sell agreement with this.
Oh my gosh.
Am I getting too far into the weeds? I mean,
no,
not
just
at
keep
all.
going.
Not at all. You're
in-house
right on it.
CPG works. So we had a buy-sell agreement. So some agreements, you in the small print have to buy the product back if it doesn't sell. We didn't have that small print. So there was something that Sobey's had done for us. They'd gotten us into bed with this company, and we gotten into bed so quick. Yeah, we hadn't gotten tied into a buy back agreement. So we just had a buy sell. So once we sold them the 600,000,
it's theirs.
It's theirs. And man, were they ticked. So I'm like, well, what's the point of not selling it? You've bought it from us. It was quite perverse. And then they sat around not selling it for months and months and months. And then COVID hit. Now, groceries fell off. It just flew off during COVID. Chocolate was sold like, right?
Yeah, like crazy.
To some degree, it sold itself, right?
For sure.
But that was kind of the beginning of the first nail in the coffin, a relationship with that. Because I'm like, it's in your best interest to sell it because you've bought it from us and we're not buying it back. During that time, they went through a change in ownership, and I'm wondering, maybe the new owner didn't even realize that we didn't have to buy this stuff back. You guys aren't going to get to sell it back to us. So then, of course, the thing is, they want to throw it all on the market and sell it to the discount warehouses, which brings down the value of your brand.
For sure.
So you don't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
It was heinous. During that time, that was when we went to Dragon's Den. And you know, the dragons, they don't pull any shots. They tell you how stupid you are for getting yourself in this fix. They filmed us for an hour and 5 minutes just to get that 7 minutes that you see if you go and watch the snippet.
Yeah.
So there was plenty of time for them to tell me what it is. I didn't hold back. So, and they were right. And when we got back, we hired a group out of Calgary who were awesome as brokers, and we transitioned over to being our own distributor.
So you're doing your own distribution now.
Yeah. So it's saying it's okay. I haven't done the quit your job thing, which you're supposed to apparently do. Haven't done it because I own my own job. I own my physio clinic. And I haven't done that. I don't make it myself. I haven't built a factory like Mitch Jacobson in Calgary. I don't know if you guys have done a show with him yet. You should. Like I haven't done all these other things that these great people have done, but I have at least become my own distributor. We become our own distribution.
Right.
So we've done that. So we store with Gordon Foods.
Sorry.
And they have a huge warehouse in North Calgary. It's right by the Sobey's warehouse. So we have at least accomplished that. And that's been with the help of this great retail company in Calgary that, works for us. Nuvo. They're awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ahead,
there's
Kenny.
a lot of because I'm still trying to. So you had never done anything in this arena.
Nothing.
And nothing, because you don't sound like you're a person who gets massively fearful, because you should have been scared shitless by the time the second order was coming in.
I didn't
Do you know
know
what I mean?
enough to be fearful. Like you've got to,
Okay.
you've got to have at least a molecule of knowledge to even know you're supposed to be afraid of it.
Well, God bless you, because it's good, because because sometimes that can slow you. Like, I mean, sometimes not knowing things in this industry can work against you in a bad way, or it can sort of do what you did. You just seem to, you've seemed to have landed, okay.
Yeah, there's days you've landed, and then there's days you have 600,000 too many chocolate bars, and we're back to that again with our next chocolate bar.
But in all fairness, that is CPG.
That's
we've
the game,
both
though,
been
right?
in places
You're not going to get out of that.
Oh my God, I've got enough product to drown myself. Like, what am I doing with all this stuff, right? Like, it's definitely
the beauty of food, though. Like, of anything you're going to be in, the beauty of food, price will fix all of it. Like, you can always sell food. You may not make a ton of money, but you can always
to the Toronto Food Bank during COVID.
Well, you know what? That's okay too. Sometimes some people get a chance to try it. People do remember when they were, down and out, and someone tried to help out, even with a sweet, because a treat's nice, right? You never know what you get out of things. I mean, that's part of it.
There's a lot of food quality in those Cuban lunches. Like people really did eat them in their lunch for many decades.
But you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's part of it. I mean, listen, you don't make money on every single run. It's just not how it works. You just learn how to play and how to leverage it out and how to hopefully survive to the next set of POs, and then you learn as you go, right? You picked a fun category to learn in, because you can have those spikes where you're moving tonnage, and then if you got a distributor like you had, a distributor can kind of slow it right down to a stop. Again, I'm with you. I'm not too sure what the hell the motivation to do that is, but whatever turns.
You were mad at us. I know that.
I know you can be mad at it all you want, but you're owning it. You're only hurting yourself, but that, again, whatever floats your boat.
Money and inventory shouldn't really have emotion, right? Like, so
it should be zero emotion.
Listen,
whether I hate you, like you, not relevant.
The probably the best revenge would be to sell it all and then never take on more of your stuff ever again. Would be a much angrier way.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
That would have been better. Yeah.
Or if you've really got enough money, you could set it on fire, but
plus let it melt. Do whatever you want. I mean, but don't fiddle fart around in the warehouse. Like, make a statement.
Sit around and chew up cash feels like
they denied they were even in their warehouse. Like, I'd ask them, what's the inventory? Oh, I don't know.
Well, where is it?
Meeting after meeting. Well, it's in the warehouse, but they can't go to the warehouse. It's COVID. They have to stay at home.
Oh, that's such bullshit.
And then this time where we've got too many of the next chocolate bar. So then the next one we brought back was the rum and butter, because it was my husband's favorite when he was a little guy. So did either of you eat the rum and butter when you were younger? You were familiar with that? So you
more the Cuban lunch. I remember the rum and butter. I saw the package and I know what it is, but
my grandfather loved the rum and butter. So that's why, So my grandfather loved the rum and butter, and that's why and there was always that fight, right? Like, there was always, my mom was like, no, he can't have that. Like, oh yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Well, mom's not looking, grab something, you're like, okay. Yeah. It
was a bit of an illicit treat because it had the word rum in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you tried our rum and butter?
I have not.
It's listed at 7-Elevens in Ontario.
Okay.
Ontario's a tough market to crack.
Oh,
So
no idea.
We're listed across the Atlantic provinces in a lot of places.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, not Sobeys. Unless you count Newfoundland and Labrador. And but Ontario, yeah, that's a tough one to crack. Maybe because all the CPG people try to crack it. I don't know, but we finally got into 7-Elevens across Canada nationally, but they have a presence in Ontario. So it's our first real presence of our chocolate bars on a regular basis in Ontario, because otherwise we were just carried by mom and pop stores, and a mom and pop store, when it sells out, well, they've got to, remember to buy it again.
Yeah.
Well, you need a guy, that a good broker or
Yeah.
a good rep that's hitting
Yeah.
the stores.
Otherwise,
or a
they fill it
distributor
with
that's doing their
whatever else
job.
they have. Yeah.
Well, or
they
the
have to
next
wait
rep will.
Yeah.
So they have a minimum order quantity from whoever they bought you from.
Right.
And that minimum order quantity is tough with the small candy stores, right? To get
For sure.
Shipping, because back to what a large nation we have, shipping is insane, right?
Yeah.
So no, that you can, next time you see a 7-Eleven, you can tromp on in there and get yourself a rum and butter and think of your grandpa.
I can do that.
There you go.
I would like
awesome.
that. I would like that a lot. My goodness. What a crazy ride.
So yeah, then our last one was this one that we saw on the Food Channel. Interestingly, this episode's been taken down since then, and I'm like, okay, where's the story there? Is it because it has peanuts in it, and they shouldn't have eaten it on TV because it was like, it is toxic to eat 40-year-old peanuts. And so these guys on this show, they have this food TV show where they talk about, I think it's called Eating History. And so they bring out a food that's been found in someone's wall in some old building. And oh, look, it's still in its package. It's from 19 whatever. And then they cook it up and eat it on the show. And
no.
It can be pretty nasty.
Why would you do that?
Narcy.
So, and I mean, on the same show, they did like cream of wheat, and it was great, delicious, or rice or something that lasted just fine for 50, 60 years.
But
then they brought out this chocolate bar from the 70s, 80s that, like, when are you going to publish this podcast we're recording? Because we haven't released the name of this bar yet.
Probably 4 weeks.
Yeah, about 4. We're trending 4 to 6 weeks right now.
Okay, then I better shut up about the exact name. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
This bar has peanuts in it, and it's been gone for 40 years. So they ate it online. So I'm guessing is that why they got taken down? I'm not sure.
Probably not, because the States is different. The States, you can do a lot of stupid things.
Yeah. And so they ate this bar. Of course, it tasted atrocious. It's 40.
Well, the peanuts are rancid after a year. Like, how are they going to last the next 39?
40 years. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of graphic words used. And
oh my God, I guess so. That's disgusting.
But maybe they really got sick from it. Like maybe that's
what it was. Maybe they,
maybe people did. There's still other show hosts of other shows trying those bars on LinkedIn, on YouTube and whatnot. But just for it, people will do anything for notoriety. Right?
I guess so. Like honey and a Twinkie. That'd be about the only thing I'd eat that was old. Because a Twinkie will never die. I mean, that we know that.
Wow.
And honey will last, millennium.
Well,
I mean, but
you find it in King Tut's tomb.
Exactly. You can still use a peanut. Like you got to be a little.
Not a little.
Quite a bit off. Like you got to be.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's a stupid.
And whether that's why they took it down, because I've looked back at the episodes from last year and it's gone.
I don't know, man. Then it's the States. In the States, you can find anything on how to build bombs and this and that. I think the least of the worries is eating an old peanut.
Anyway, so I cold called the celebrity whose chocolate bar this was, and which is why they're still in existence, right? There were a collector's item for this charity.
Okay.
This famous person who's got sports cards and everything, right, with his face on it. So he had this chocolate bar. So
interesting.
Yeah. So then my husband said, "Well, you couldn't do that. You can't do that. That's too big. That's too big for you."
He doesn't learn, does he?
So I asked my trademark lawyer to deal with it. The only help he really is he figured out that the person who just applied for this trademark in the US was the athlete himself.
Okay.
So I had missed applying for this trademark by like 3 months. And I was like, no, someone's applied for it already. And it's first come, first served, even in in the States as well.
Right.
And that's why I talked to my lawyer, and I said, well, let's just ask them if we can license it from them.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, okay, if you think that's a thing. I kind of thought, gee wizards, if he's at the stage requesting it, he knows what he wants to do. But yeah, okay. But they could not get a reply from him. I don't think he ever talks to his lawyer. So, because my lawyer contacted his lawyer, right? So figured out he was behind it. So I cold called the athlete himself,
Right.
because he does speaking engagements. So the phone number to book them is on his website. So I phoned that, and of course his staff was off with COVID, because there's a story that never ends.
No,
and,
unfortunately.
when they got done having COVID, came back to clear all the messages off the machine. Here's this little Canadian asking about bringing back this chocolate bar for their boss. So they called me up, figured out that I wasn't a total tune. And I mailed them some of my chocolate bars that I'd already done here in Canada. And of course meant nothing to them. They don't know how close I was to the original.
Right. Well, they don't care.
Yeah.
But at least shows I can make a professional chocolate bar. And then his actual kind of manager, I guess is what
Right.
he is, fixer dude. Sorry, Keith, if you're listening, but I don't really know what you're called. Anyway, Keith contacts me, and so Keith is my contact between me and this athlete. So
That's cool.
yeah, I just like a typical Canadian, I go, so I want to do this. I want to bring back this chocolate bar. It's what I do. And he's obviously interested in bringing back this chocolate bar. And Keith says, oh yeah, we're interviewing a few factories. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, if it's someone else's deal, like I don't want to take it from them. It's just if you're still accepting applications, and if it's an open competition, I'd like to put my name in for it. But if it's someone else's deal to be had, I don't want to take their deal. Just like the consulate with Canadian. And they're like, no, it's not their deal to be had. Yeah, you put in a proposal. They said. So I type up my proposal, and I send it to them, and they picked me. And their comment was that the other company they've been working with, which is Boyers, was, just a little, I don't know the exact words to use, but something like quirky, or I'm not sure what term he used. I think the thing is we have a clash of the egos, right? If you know factory owners in Canada that make a lot of food, right? But in the States, same deal, right? Factory owners, right? They are king of their domain. They're the factory owner. And then you get an athlete who's in the Hall of Fame and thinks, no, they are big poop. So you put them together.
It doesn't work.
The other one's
it's a lot of poop.
No matter what.
It's too much.
It's a lot of poop.
There's too much ego in the room. I think.
Yeah.
Too much poop.
Well, and half the time you got to watch what you believe on these people too. First off, a lot of times these athletes or whoever rebuys it for vanity because they don't want anybody else to own it. There's no motivation to do anything. It's just because I want it. And then, as a true Canadian, we're always not wanting to step on a deal, we're being polite. They exaggerate a little bit too. They might have nobody looking at it. They're just thinking, holy Christ, we might be able to do this bar. This woman's nutty enough to do this. We should really talk to her.
Yeah, they actually named them though. Like they named
what are you going to do? You're not going to go and check and phone them. And
I might.
Well, you might now.
But yeah. So then they named the other company, which is Annie's Foods. And I guess the owner of Annie's Foods is actually buddies with my athlete friend. And he really thought that Annie's Foods was going to bring it back. And Annie's Foods was like, yeah, we're envisioning this as organic and
well, then I could see them doing it or some variation of.
No, you're not envisioning it as organic and vegan. This is a retro comeback thing.
Yeah.
It's a milk chocolate bar.
Yeah, we want it normal.
I mean, maybe organic, but not vegan, right?
No need.
So, and again, he couldn't understand why Annie's couldn't see his vision for it, and Annie's couldn't see why he couldn't see their vision for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't working out. They're buddies and they're good friends. And he wanted, I think, the friendship was really valuable to him,
right?
Because he loves the guy to death. Really respects them. And so I think he just went, okay, maybe this isn't an Annie's kind of product. It's a candy bar, right?
Yeah, no.
And so then when I guess I came in, they said, I guess, you're right. We'll give her a shot. Except they didn't just say they'll give her a shot. I mean, they did send me money to get it rolling and get I mean, it's
So they
really
want
it's
this to
his
happen.
trademark ultimately
Yeah.
that I'm now improving on, right? So they did send me a nominal, very nominal sum, not much, but enough that money changed hands, in a contract. So
That's awesome. So
That's
when
pretty
does this
cool.
bar come out?
well, hopefully, Jan, Feb. We will see. I mean, you know how this stage is, right? You think any moment now, any moment, and then you find out there's some big glitch. Have you interviewed Susie York from Love Good Fats when she was starting that?
No, we're
Oh my
working
gosh,
hard
how
to get her on
right?
this
She had it
show.
all ready, and then
Yeah.
the goo wouldn't squirt through the tubes,
Yeah. I've
right?
heard
And the
this story.
they couldn't
Yeah.
even make it. So
Yeah.
I mean, like the other night, the factory owner gets hold of us the day before Christmas. Is like, I've been looking at some of the old wrappers from the 70s. They say trademark in the corner. Your graphic does not, because of course we developed the graphic before the trademark, make it all the way
Right.
through the U.S. trademark system.
Right.
But we knew he'd get it because my lawyer explained to me they can't steal your name in the States when you're an athlete.
No.
And it's set up so that it can't be taken from you,
Right.
which is to protect people.
Right.
So we knew we'd be getting it, but we didn't put TM on there. So yeah, that was like last Thursday night. Oh, they're concerned. Like, I thought the wrappers were already being made. What do you mean they were?
So, I
in the
mean,
corner?
it's one of those nutty things about CPG, right? Like I've been places where we've launched shampoos, we've launched drugs, and like we get these weird phone calls like, "Hi, so that cap you picked? We don't have any more of those." And you're like, "Are you? What are you?" We're all the way through this process.
We're in
You're
deep water,
supposed to
man.
be
Like
making
it's
it.
no
They're
time
like,
to say the boat don't work anymore.
Yeah. But listen, and you're like, no, listen, what? Like what? I'm gonna throw myself in front of a train. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Like, but it happens everywhere. Like
It happens all the time.
It does, which makes
All
the
the
drama, which it makes shows like this worth listening to.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Hearing
because
all
that's the
this
fun of the
I
game.
guess,
wild
yeah.
crap people go through.
Exactly.
Just to bring a chocolate bar to your countertop, for its sake, that you knew and
Yeah.
loved when you were a kid. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
so hopefully that was, he understood the answer and was cool with it. We'll add it later
Whatever.
iteration. We'll add that to the graphic, the
Yeah.
TM. But
And it doesn't matter anyway. They can't, just because of TM's there, you can't use it anyway. It's still trademarked. It doesn't. What's regardless.
Exactly.
Who cares?
We do pride ourselves in having our stuff be extraordinarily similar to the original, like
For sure.
freakishly similar. So we probably will add it eventually.
I think you should. I mean, if it is, if it's trademark, you might as well say it
Mhm.
is. But I mean, if it gets missed, it gets missed.
It is now, like it came through in the last month or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but only just because, of course, all the trademark people in both countries are working from home. In other words, doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm also
Hey, some of us work.
to this
Some of us
podcast,
work
but-
from home and do stuff.
Those are government type
Yeah,
agencies,
but
Phil.
they're not.
No,
They're
they
not.
don't.
It took us 18 months to get our first one, right?
Yeah, it's a little slow.
Now
There's
it
not
takes
much to
4
do.
years and nothing.
Yeah, and what is it?
Wow.
It's a light on, light off. It's already exists. Look at the paperwork. Does it still hold?
Yeah, that's tough.
Move on. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's
That's
incredible how long it takes now. And even the
you-
U.S. system has slowed down. It's
Yeah.
maybe 15 or 16 months now in the States.
We don't want to go too fast. You go too fast and you run out of things to do. What are they going to do with you, right? This, job extension's not the worst play in a lot of those worlds.
Oh, brutal. But
Yeah,
then
it is
maybe
what it
if you didn't
is.
have enough to do, you'd go and, become an entrepreneur and launch a CPG company. That's
No,
what everyone did during COVID when they were working from home.
takes
It's true.
that takes a whole different breed of people, as you found out.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
not for the faint of heart.
No.
No, it's a tough industry, especially when you get into food. I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, yeah,
And of course, now I'm going into the States, which I don't know diddle about.
that's a tough one too.
So-
That's a whole different world, eh?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I didn't
Tread
have a
lightly.
molecule of knowledge. I don't have an atom's worth of knowledge about
Tread
this.
lightly,
Whoa.
It's-
because remember,
uh,
600,000 bars is now 6 million bars,
Oh, no, it isn't, because I don't have $6 million to make 6 million.
right?
bars.
But you know what I mean. But that welcome to America. So when you hit the States, it's really, you don't talk about the States. You talk about
yeah.
New York State, maybe if you're
You've
close
got to
to,
look at the regions, right?
maybe all you do
yeah,
is the Pacific
yeah,
Northwest, and you do
yeah,
like Washington, Idaho, Montana, and that's
yeah.
it. Like you just keep her calm, because
Yeah.
if you open up that puppy, I mean, that can. No, you're
So the athlete has a movie coming out in 2 months. So
Cool.
much for keeping it calm. So he's gotten
that's good too. Then that's all good.
His life is coming out on Amazon.
That's all
Amazon
good.
Prime movie in February. Again, if they finish that on time, because I think that might be a little like CPG.
Yeah,
it's good and it's bad, right? That's a lot of press. And if
it's
he
a lot
decides,
of press
if he
the
decides
ads for his chocolate bar, right? It's in the movie, so the actual
you know what? But maybe that'll just push it.
Yeah,
that'll push it. That's all good.
It will push it.
But
for
yes,
sure.
I agree with you. We're going to pick a region and go with that first. Our bars are going to be made in Pennsylvania, so that tells us right away which region, right?
Then that's where you focus. But don't go too far out. Pennsylvania is a big state. You can just park there. Even just do that one.
Well,
then you do Ohio, and then you kind of do.
He played for, right? The city he played for when he had his chocolate bar. Then that's kind of that's kind of where
I'd still just baby step. And remember, they're heavily distributor in the States. They love their distributors. They don't do a lot of direct business.
Really?
No.
Huh. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. Lots of distributors.
Yeah. I mean, some of the big ones.
Specialty premium, eh?
Yeah. The UNFIs of the world and folks
lots
like
of distributors
that are in it. Yeah.
Unify definitely has a you have to buy it back deal. Let me tell you.
They all do.
Friends that Unify just about deep six.
But again, that's why you got to really be careful in the States. Like you got to really, you definitively walk before you run. You just take a breath. Because it can be, it's the one that'll, now the house isn't yours anymore kind of talks, right? That's where you get. You got to really be careful, right? Because you don't want to overextend, but you can have fun down there. Because if you hit it down there, man, you're going to hit it.
The factory that we got in with have a type of business that's very corporate and isn't selling as much post-COVID, again, because of the work from home crowd.
Right.
So there isn't the getting together office party environment that they sold into.
Right.
So they have more time to make our bars, which is nice. And they also have a distribution system of their own.
Well, that'll save.
If we're selling enough, they say they will let us use.
Right. Well, there you go then.
Yeah. So that's nice. Yeah.
Just be careful.
Introduce us to brokers, but I don't want to meet more brokers. Brokers just take a piece of your pie. I don't have to pay a whole bunch of my pie to this athlete. So he's getting all the pie. There's no extra pie.
It's the game, baby.
Yeah.
That's how she
Crystal,
plays.
Thank you for coming on. We're out of time.
That
was an hour. Holy moly.
That went just like that.
Fast. Okay.
Just,
so you're gonna have to come back on,
fast.
obviously.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come back on.
Well, plus what else are you doing? I want to know how this one goes.
After
and then what
we
else
do this in the States. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, totally.
Listen.
Absolutely.
So before we get to all the other stuff, when you launch, let's just ping us back after you launch, and then we do some shorts on YouTube, so we can get together for like 10 minutes and just talk about
hit the highlights
what you're launching. So I think it would be really cool. It's just
I'd still like to have you back onto this too.
Yeah.
And in fairness, we may not, like he said, start in Pennsylvania. Like we won't be really, really distributed in Canada. Like not really.
It's fine.
But Canadians are always interested in a Canadian story, even if it doesn't take place in Canada all the time, but it's a Canadian story.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, all the graphics were done by Canadians, all the intellectual know-how to make this thing are Canadians. So I think it's still a Canadian story.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you can have a lot of fun with that. I think it's going to be kind of cool. I'm dying here. I wish we had more time to even talk about the other stuff in Canada, like what other brands you've been looking at. We'll have to have you on for another podcast.
Yeah.
That hour went really quick. That's why I didn't realize it was that fast.
Super. Thank you guys.
Thank you. If people want to find
you or the bars, where do they go?
Well, we have the cubanlunch.ca.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is just, I think it's www.cubanlunch.ca. Take the off of it. Just Cuban Lunch.
Okay. Right. Cuban Lunch.
And the other one's rumandbutter.ca.
Cool.
Okay.
If they want to talk to you, LinkedIn.
Well, the contact us button definitively works on both websites.
Okay.
Perfect.
Every single day. I know it works. I hate websites. That is a personal passion peeve where you click contact us and it goes off into Netherland.
Yeah.
Narnia. And then yes, LinkedIn. I'm a bit of a LinkedIn addicted person, so that's
All
another
good.
choice.
As
Cool.
are we, actually.
Yeah,
As
we're
are
always
we.
on
So
too.
yeah,
Cool.
we're always on there. Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you
has
very
been
much for
amazing.
coming on. That was really
Yeah.
cool. And good luck.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll
right.
chat with you soon. Phil,
Yeah.
you hang on. Crystal, enjoy your evening. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, appreciate it.
Thank you. You can chop it. You can sign off now, Crystal. You're done.
I did. I clicked leave meeting.
Oh, you got to hit it twice. There you go.
There she goes.
Well, you know why? Because I hate the LinkedIn for that. Like with Google,
yeah.
you just shut it down and it goes.
Yeah.
Teams, you shut it down.
Yeah.
This stupid LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
or Zoom wants you to verify
Zoom.
the fact I want to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Of course I want to leave. That's why I hit leave.
Yeah. She is.
Interesting. Well, considering, I mean, you're a physiotherapist and you go into CPG? Chocolate bars? Jesus Christ, that's a tough category.
You know, like, okay, so
I love how people do this. I just love how people make the step from.
She just wanted to make a bar for her mom.
She just wanted to have to get her mom to actually just think about the past. Like, that's just bizarre. I mean, it's a really cool story. Lovely. But
you know what's really funny about that? Like, so
wow.
I have seen people do this where they'll go online, they'll get a recipe, and then, we're pretty enterprising people, right? So then you kind of like, I've seen people mock up old chocolate bars.
Yeah.
And then just print, like, inkjet or laserjet print a wrapper or like a sticker label, right, and then bring it. And it generally serves the same purpose. I don't think I've ever met anyone who decided, I really want to make sure that my mom triggers, so I'm going to go out and find the intellectual property, actually properly buy the chocolate bar, and then make 60,000 of them.
Yeah, just go online and just make a bar that's like similar and put it in a homemade wrapper.
That is, yeah. That's exactly what I've seen people do, right? Like,
anyway, that was very interesting. I mean, I don't know. Really I think they're cool. I think there's I think there's a place for it. I think people love retro. I mean, we all know that. I mean, fashions come back all the time. I think.
Listen,
I remember the Cuban lunches
bars out there. Yeah, I remember Cuban lunches. I remember the rum.
The rum I don't remember. A Cuban lunch I remember because I remember the red.
I'd be lying if I didn't say there were some other chocolate bars that I would love to have come back as well. Right, like,
Good.
Yeah.
All good.
Man.
Okay, that's an hour and 10. We gotta wrap this one.
An hour and 10. Thank you for listening, and
thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening tonight. This podcast was sponsored by Field Agent 360 Innovation Booster.
You can find more about this product at fieldagentcanada.com/360.